Doctor warns, 4 dangerous masturbation mistakes in the morning that are silently harming older men. A wake-up call for every man over 65. A vital truth for men over 65. Picture this. It's early morning, the world quiet, and you're alone with a familiar routine. It feels harmless, a private spark to start your day. But what if this habit is silently harming your health? I'm Dr. James, a urologist with over 30 years helping men like you navigate aging and intimacy. Today, I'll reveal 4 dangerous morning masturbation mistakes that could be hurting your heart, nerves, and confidence, and how to reclaim your vitality. If this speaks to you, type, "I'm listening" in the comments. Let's dive in. Part 1. Mistake number 1. Rushing it on an empty stomach and dehydrated body. The silent ambush of morning vulnerability. Picture this. It's 6 a.m. The house is still. You've just woken up, your eyes adjusting to the dim light. Your body is stiff, your mouth dry, your stomach empty after a long night's rest. Without thinking, you slip into a familiar routine. A quick moment of self-pleasure to kickstart the day. It feels harmless, doesn't it? A private ritual, a spark of energy to shake off the grogginess. But here's the truth. Your body isn't ready for it. And that moment of release could be a silent ambush on your health. As a urologist, I've seen this scenario play out too many times. Take John, a 68-year-old retired teacher I treated last year. John was a proud man, still active, still sharp. Every morning, he'd wake up at 5:30, skip breakfast, and head straight into his routine. One day, he felt a sudden dizziness after climax, followed by a racing heart. He brushed it off as a fluke. A week later, he collapsed in his bathroom. Paramedics rushed him to the ER, where we discovered he'd suffered a transient ischemic attack, a mini-stroke. The cause? His morning habit, done on an empty stomach and dehydrated body, had pushed his cardiovascular system to the brink. Why is this so dangerous? After 65, your body doesn't bounce back like it used to. Overnight, your blood pressure dips, your circulation slows, and your body enters a dehydrated, low-sugar state. When you engage in sexual arousal in this condition, it's like flooring the gas pedal on a cold engine. Your heart rate spikes, your blood vessels constrict, and blood rushes to your pelvis when your brain and heart need it most. For some men, this leads to lightheadedness or palpitations. For others, like John, the consequences are far worse. The science behind the risk. Let's break it down. Your cardiovascular system is like a finely tuned orchestra, and in the morning, it's still warming up. After age 65, your blood vessels lose elasticity, and your heart works harder to maintain steady pressure. Dehydration, common after 8 hours without water, thickens your blood, making it harder to pump. Low blood sugar from skipping breakfast impairs your brain's ability to regulate these sudden demands. Add in the adrenaline surge of arousal, and you've got a recipe for stress on an already fragile system. Studies back this up. A 2011 study in the Journal of the American College of Cardiology found that cardiovascular events, like heart attacks and strokes, are more likely in the early morning due to natural fluctuations in blood pressure and heart rate. Sexual activity, even solo, mimics moderate exercise, increasing heart rate by 20 to 30%. For a young man, that's no big deal. For a man over 65, it's a gamble if your body isn't prepared. A better way, preparing your body. So how do you avoid this trap? It's simple, but it takes intention. Before you engage in self-pleasure, give your body the respect it deserves. Here's what I tell my patients. Hydrate first. Drink a glass of water as soon as you wake up. It thins your blood and primes your circulation. Eat something light. A banana, a slice of toast, or a handful of nuts stabilizes your blood sugar. Move your body. Do 5 minutes of gentle stretching or a short walk to wake up your muscles and blood flow. These small steps aren't just about safety, they're about dignity. Your body has carried you through decades of life's highs and lows. It deserves a little warm-up before you ask it to perform. A story of change. Let me tell you about Robert, a 70-year-old widower who came to my office feeling defeated. He'd been starting his mornings the same way for years, but lately, he felt weak and dizzy afterward. "Doc," he said, "I thought I was just getting old." I asked him to try something. Wake up, drink water, eat a small breakfast, and take a 10-minute walk before his routine. 2 weeks later, he called me, his voice brighter. "I feel stronger," document. "Like I'm in control again." That's the power of small changes. You don't have to give up pleasure, you just have to give your body a fighting chance. What about you? Have you ever felt that post-climax fatigue or dizziness? Or maybe you've been rushing through your mornings without a second thought. Type, "I'm rethinking this," in the comments if this is hitting home. Let's keep going. Part 2. Mistake number 2. Using porn as a morning stimulus every day. The hidden cost of a digital escape. Close your eyes for a moment and think back to your younger years. Remember the thrill of a stolen glance, the warmth of a partner's touch, the slow build of anticipation? Now, fast forward to today. For many men over 65, that spark has been replaced by a glowing screen. You wake up, reach for your phone, and before you've even brushed your teeth, you're scrolling through explicit videos, chasing a quick hit of arousal. It feels like a shortcut to feeling alive. But what if that shortcut is leading you down a dangerous path? This isn't about judgment. It's about truth. Using porn every morning isn't just a habit. It's a trap that rewires your brain, dulls your senses, and steals your ability to connect with real intimacy. I've seen it in my practice time and again. Men who start their day with a flood of digital stimulation, only to find themselves disconnected from their partners, their bodies, and even themselves. The brain on overdrive. Here's what's happening in your brain. When you watch porn, especially high-intensity content, your brain releases a surge of dopamine, the feel-good chemical tied to reward and motivation. In your 20s, your brain could handle those spikes. But after 65, your dopamine system is more sensitive and less forgiving. Repeated exposure to porn, especially first thing in the morning, overwhelms your brain's reward pathways. Over time, it desensitizes you to natural stimuli. A partner's touch, a warm conversation, even your own imagination, they all start to feel flat. A 2016 study in psychology of addictive behaviors found that frequent porn use can lead to reduced sexual satisfaction and weaker emotional bonds in relationships. For older men, the impact is even more pronounced. Your brain craves the novelty and intensity of porn, making real-world intimacy feel inadequate. I've had patients, good men, loving husbands, tell me they can no longer feel aroused with their wives. Not because the love is gone, but because their brains have been trained to chase a digital high. A patient's story, breaking the cycle. Take Michael, a 67-year-old grandfather who came to me last year. He was embarrassed to admit it, but every morning, he'd start his day with porn. "It's just easier, Doc," he said. "It gets me going." But he noticed a change. His marriage felt distant. His confidence was slipping. Even his morning routine felt hollow. I asked him to try something radical. Go a month without porn. Instead, focus on sensation, his own breath, his body, his memories. It wasn't easy. The first week, he felt restless. But by week 3, he noticed something. "I'm starting to feel things again," he told me. "Like I'm waking up." Michael's story isn't unique. When you break the cycle of morning porn, you give your brain a chance to reset. You rediscover the power of your own imagination, the warmth of real connection, and the joy of intimacy that doesn't come from a screen. A better way, reclaiming your mind. So how do you break free? It starts with intention. Here are a few steps to try. Replace the habit. Instead of reaching for your phone, start your morning with something grounding. A book, a walk, or even a quiet moment of reflection. Use your imagination. Tap into memories or fantasies that don't rely on external stimuli. It's slower, but it's real. Talk to someone. If you're in a relationship, share your journey with your partner. Vulnerability builds closeness. What's your morning routine like? Do you find yourself reaching for your phone before you're fully awake? Or maybe you've already noticed the toll it's taking. Type, "I'm ready to try something new," in the comments if you're ready to make a change. There's more to uncover. Let's move on. Part 3. Mistake number 3. Masturbating in a tensed or seated posture. The silent strain on your body. Let's paint a picture. You're sitting on the edge of your bed, shoulders hunched, thighs pressed together, focused on a quick release before the day begins. It's a habit you've never thought twice about. But what if I told you that the way you're sitting is quietly strangling your body's ability to feel pleasure? That the position you choose in those private moments could be robbing you of sensation, strength, and even long-term health? This is one of the most overlooked mistakes I see in my practice. Men over 65, proud and private, often masturbate in tense, seated postures that cut off blood flow and compress vital nerves. Over time, this seemingly small habit can lead to numbness, reduced sensitivity, and even chronic dysfunction. And the worst part? Most men chalk it up to just getting old. The anatomy of a bad habit. Your pelvic region is a marvel of engineering, blood vessels, nerves, and muscles working together to power sensation, arousal, and even bladder control. But when you sit in a hunched or tense posture, you're putting pressure on the pudendal nerve and iliac arteries, which supply blood to your sexual organs. For younger men, the body can compensate. But after 65, your system is less forgiving. Chronic pressure leads to reduced blood flow, nerve irritation, and a slow erosion of sensitivity. I had a patient, George, a 72-year-old retired mechanic. He was a tough guy, used to working with his hands. Every morning, he'd sit on a chair in his bedroom, leaning forward, getting through his routine. Over time, he noticed it took longer to climax. Sensation was fading. He thought it was just age catching up. But when we examined his habits, we found the culprit. His posture was starving his pelvis of blood and oxygen. A 2018 study in the Journal of Sexual Medicine found that poor pelvic blood flow is a leading cause of erectile dysfunction and reduced sexual sensation in older men. Sitting in a tense posture during masturbation exacerbates this, creating a vicious cycle of dysfunction. A better way, positioning for pleasure. The fix is simpler than you think. It's about giving your body space to breathe. Here's what I recommend. Lie back. Use a pillow to support your hips and keep your pelvis open. This reduces pressure on nerves and arteries. Relax your muscles. Avoid clenching your thighs or tensing your core. Let your body stay loose. Take your time. Rushing adds tension. Slow down and let your body guide the experience. When George made these changes, the results were striking. Within a month, he reported stronger sensations and a renewed sense of connection to his body. "It's like I'm 50 again," he laughed. That's the power of listening to your body's needs. What's your setup like? Have you ever thought about how your posture might be affecting your experience? Type, "I'm paying attention," in the comments if this is starting to make sense. We're not done yet. There's one more mistake to uncover, and it's the deepest of all. Part 4, mistake number 4, mourning, guilt, and shame that spike cortisol. The emotional weight of private moments. This is the part where we get real. Because for many men over 65, the biggest danger isn't physical, it's emotional. You wake up alone, the house quiet, the weight of years pressing on your chest. You seek a moment of release, a spark of feeling in a world that sometimes feels gray. And when it's over, instead of peace, you're hit with a wave of guilt. A voice in your head whispers, "You shouldn't have done that. You're too old for this. It's wrong." I've seen this in my office more times than I can count. Men carrying silent shame about a perfectly natural act. Maybe it's rooted in how you were raised, messages from family, religion, or culture that labeled self-pleasure as sinful or weak. Maybe it's the loneliness of aging, the ache of missing a partner, or the fear that you're not the man you used to be. Whatever the source, that shame isn't just hurting your heart, it's hurting your body. The chemistry of shame. Here's what happens when guilt takes over. Your brain releases cortisol, the stress hormone that prepares you for fight or flight. In small doses, cortisol is fine. But when it spikes every morning after self-pleasure, it wreaks havoc. Cortisol suppresses testosterone, raises blood pressure, weakens your immune system, and even impairs memory. A 2020 study in psychoneuroendocrinology linked chronic cortisol elevation to cognitive decline in older adults. In other words, the shame you feel isn't just emotional, it's chemical, and it's aging you faster. I'll never forget Henry, a 69-year-old widower who came to me complaining of fatigue and brain fog. He was healthy otherwise, but he admitted, almost in a whisper, that he felt guilty every time he masturbated. "It feels like I'm betraying my wife," he said. "Like I'm not supposed to want this anymore." That guilt was spiking his cortisol, draining his energy, and dimming his spark. We worked together to reframe his perspective, to see self-pleasure as a gift, not a sin. Over time, his energy returned, and so did his smile. A better way, embracing peace. You deserve to feel good without punishment. Here's how to start. Reframe the act. Self-pleasure isn't weakness. It's a celebration of your humanity. It's a way to honor your body and your needs. Practice self-compassion. After your moment, take a deep breath and say, "I'm allowed to feel this." Let the guilt go. Connect with meaning. Use the moment to reflect on what makes you feel alive. Memories, dreams, or hopes for the future. What do you feel after those private moments? Is there a weight you've been carrying? Type, "I deserve peace," in the comments if you're ready to let go of shame. Now, let's talk about the solution. The best time to make self-pleasure safe and healing. Part 5. The ideal time for self-pleasure, a window of healing. Why timing matters. If there's one question I hear most from men over 65, it's this. Doc, when's the right time? It's not just about convenience. It's about respecting your body's rhythms. After everything we've covered, the risks of rushing, the toll of porn, the strain of bad posture, the weight of shame, timing becomes the key to turning self-pleasure from a risk into a reward. The best time for self-pleasure after 65? Late afternoon to early evening, between 4 p.m. and 7 p.m. Why? By this time, your body is awake, hydrated, and nourished. Your heart has settled into a steady rhythm. Cortisol levels, which peak in the morning, are tapering off, and testosterone, your spark of vitality, naturally rises. Your nervous system is relaxed, your mind clearer. This is when self-pleasure becomes not just safe, but healing. The science of the sweet spot. A 2019 study in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism found that testosterone levels in older men often peak in the late afternoon, aligning with better energy and mood. This window also coincides with improved blood flow and lower stress, creating an ideal environment for healthy arousal. When you choose this time, you're working with your body, not against it. A story of transformation. Let me share one last story. Frank, a 66-year-old veteran, came to me feeling like his body had given up on pleasure. He'd been stuck in a morning routine, rushed and guilty, and it left him drained. I suggested he shift to late afternoon, take his time, and focus on relaxation. A month later, he walked into my office with a grin. "Doc, it's like I'm rediscovering myself. It feels good to feel good again. That's what I want for you. A moment that restores, not depletes." What's your daily rhythm like? Could you try shifting to the afternoon? Type, "I'm ready to feel good," in the comments if you're open to this change. Part 6. Final thoughts. Reclaiming your vitality. You're still here, and that tells me something. You're not just surviving, you're seeking. You're a man over 65, carrying a lifetime of strength, wisdom, and quiet battles. And you're ready to understand your body in a new way. The 4 mistakes we've covered: rushing on an empty stomach, relying on porn, using tense postures, and carrying shame, aren't just habits. They're choices that shape your health, your hormones, and your heart. But you have the power to change them. You have the right to feel alive, to feel pleasure, to feel like you again. Start small. Hydrate. Move. Choose presence over pixels. Position your body with care. And above all, give yourself permission to feel joy without guilt. Try the late afternoon window, and let your body show you the difference. You're not alone in this journey, and you're not broken. You're a man, still here, still vital, still deserving of every moment of connection, whether with a partner, with yourself, or with the life you've built. If this guide has given you clarity or hope, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And type, "I'm still learning," in the comments to remind us all that growth never stops. Not at 65, not at 75, not ever. Your health, your dignity, and your spark still matter. Let's keep them burning bright.